Hey guys, this is MeiLani Hawk with Why Not Me Academy. Super excited and pumped to have Coach Micheal Burt on the show today. He is actually one of my personal mentors, but you might have also seen him on stages with Grant Cardone, with John Maxwell. He is one of the not newcomers to the big show, but you will start to see him more and more if you haven't already. So look out for Coach Micheal Burt. Now, he's been in the business for almost 30 years. And his mantra, or his philosophy, is that everybody needs a coach. And he talks about how those who do have a coach outperform and out-earn those who don't by 3 to 4 times the amount. He also talks about how his goal with his clients are for them to be able to produce 43% more each year, and he consistently helps his clients to do this. Now, whether you're running a business of 1 or 5,000, I highly recommend you listen to this. One of my favorite quotes, spoiler alert, that he actually shares at the end, but I'm going to share with you now because I think it's so awesome, is he talks about just because others might be better known than you does not mean that they are better. And I hope that you will remember that. If you don't listen, you're missing out. But if you have to just grab that is one bit of knowledge. But I hope you'll stick around and listen to this whole episode with Coach Micheal Burt. Enjoy. Hey guys, this is MeiLani Hawk with Why Not Me Academy. Really excited to have Coach Micheal Burt on today. Thanks so much for being here, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Now, Coach Burt is actually one of my mentors that I've attended some of his talks, some of his workshops, and he's a bundle of energy, but also of resource and fountain of knowledge, and I really enjoy talking to him. So I'm grateful that he's sharing his time with me, but also with all of you, because he is a very sought-after coach. So I hope you enjoy and get some good stuff out of this. Now, first off, let's say congratulations to Coach, because Coach has a new baby coming here in just how long? A few weeks? A month?
Yeah, May 28th. We're having a baby boy. We have a 7-year-old daughter, and so yes, the baby boy is next.
Congratulations. That is awesome. Most of our listeners know that I have 5 kids and love them. And when Coach Burt got on, he's like, how's your day going? And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll share that when we get on recording. So for me, in between the last 2 recordings, about a half hour ago, my husband came and said, I'm done. And I said, tell me more about what's going on. And he said, I'm done. So about 2 months ago, we bought a new car. We felt like, okay, our baby's been potty trained. Like, this is a whole new world, life without diaper bags. And so we decided we were going to get a car that wasn't matted with Cheerios. Like, this was going to be our nice car, right? Well, that was 2 months ago, and we got this beautiful car, and apparently just now they were outside washing the car, and 5 kids, apparently we only had 4 sponges, so my youngest decided to be resourceful, awesome, and used a rock to draw circles all around the new car, and my husband's head was about to explode. So, hey, Coach, love you, love the moments, love the memories. We will have memories every time we look at our car until we choose to fix it. So I'm sure you know that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'd probably say I'm done too if I was your husband.
He was throwing in the towel. All right, let's jump right in. So we call him Coach Burt. Let's have you tell a little bit of your background, but I also want it to tie into your philosophy that everybody needs a coach. So tell us a little bit about your background and that philosophy.
You know, I was raised by a single mother who had me when she was 16, and she worked 2 and 3 jobs to keep everything going. And she used to drop me off the local baseball field where I would stay for hours and hours. And it was one woman named Mickey Vinson, who was a little league coach, which was really odd. She was the only female coach coaching boys baseball. And she used to tend to me, feed me, take care of me. And you know, she used to say to me, she used to say, son, one of these days, you're going to be a great coach. She saw that in me at 6 years old.
Wow.
So, you know, at 15 years old, I became a basketball coach because I got asked to coach junior pro basketball. I didn't know that was supposed to be my purpose, but it was. And so from a very early age, I started coaching athletics, really from 15, 16, 17. And then from 18 to 31, I was a basketball coach. But I was using a lot of unorthodox methodology, business principles, all of these things. And I was winning a lot of games. So people were constantly asking me, what are you doing with those kids? Which is what prompted me to start writing books. And when I speak to our people, because they need some motivation and they need some pray drive and they need some follow up. And so I would go over and speak really as a hobby, MeiLani, just to be honest with you. I didn't plan on making money doing that. And I wanted to be a basketball coach. And they began to pay me more money in an hour than I made in a month. I began realizing I had a hard skill that people valued, which was helping them produce at a higher level. And so I started my professional career of speaking, which led to coaching, which led to building a coaching company. So at 31 years old, I retired to build a coaching company. All I do now is coach individuals and business people from literally from around the world. I was on the call this morning with people in London. We have people in Bulgaria. We have clients in Mexico, really all over the world now. So I'm honored to be able to be a lot of people's coach.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love how he talks about how, he has coaches. Everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs a coach. And I think that once I had that mental shift of I don't need to know it all, poof, like it exploded the options that were in front of me because I could find coaches doing what I wanted to do. And it really did explode my opportunities. And so I love that. I love that mantra. So you coach people from all over the world. What would you say are some of the biggest things that you see people doing to stop their own growth in business, preventing them from really being what they should be?
I think a lot of people think, as I did for many years, that you can just work harder and it'll work. And some people can't work any harder. They're working as hard as they could work. And, as a basketball coach, I've been watching the Chicago Bulls, and they would get to a point every year and get beat and go home, right? Do the same thing the next year, get to the same point, get beat and go home, until they went back and they try different tactics, try different strategies. And for me, that's what I see people do. Is the thing that shocks me is how people will not invest in themselves to have a coach, and they continue to get results that that feel like are less than desirable. But they won't invest the money to learn what they need to learn to go to a higher frequency. There are people out there that know something you don't know. They know strategies you don't know, and they know tactics you don't know, and they've been around successful people that you haven't been around. And so it shocks me that the people who will not say, yes, I want to learn under that person, and I'm willing to invest money to learn that. It's this really hard concept for people to really get. Because if I want to know something and somebody else knows it, I'm willing to invest the money to learn what they know that I don't know, which could help me break through that ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see people stunning their own growth because they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and they don't back up and go, maybe I can't work my way out of this. Maybe it's actually a tactic or strategy that I need to know. And that shocks me about how many people get to the same place. They get frustrated, but they don't do anything different.
Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. With that, so if people are listening to this, trying to figure out how they should find a coach, I think for you and for me, I think we've both paid over 6 figures for coaching, but I've also, some of that, I kind of didn't like all those coaches. So how do you find a good coach?
That's a great question. It's a question I get asked a lot. I think you need coaches that align. You need coaches who have a demonstrated capacity in what you're doing. It's interesting. I was on the phone with the guy this morning from London, and he said, we've used so-and-so, we've used so-and-so, we've used so-and-so, and all of them are good, but they don't seem to have a methodology like you do. And I said, well, the difference between me and those people is those people are not coaches. They write books, they speak, but they don't coach people. I coach people every day. I am in the trenches. I'm coaching small companies, startup companies, billion-dollar companies, multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm coaching the person that's got 1 employee to the person that's got 5,000 employees. So I get to see what works and what doesn't work. So when you're choosing a coach, you need to ask, what has the coach actually done? What success stories do they have from people they've coached? Do you have an affinity with that coach? And you also have to understand that that you are responsible for the learning, not the coach. The coach I bring a structure. Here's a good example, MeiLani. I have a call every Monday. Right after this, I have a call at 4:30 every day with my coaching students. There are over 900 people registered for that call with me every Monday, right? These are people that are in my online academy, my monster producer, and corporate contracts I have. Roughly 100 to 120 show up every week. And there's 908 that are scheduled. Now, the 800 that don't show up are probably going to complain that the coaching doesn't work, or Coach Burt's not that good, or man, I hadn't made any more money. And here's the problem. It ain't going to work if you don't show up, bozos. Yeah. So my point is that learning is predicated on the learner. Like let me give you an example. I went to a Tony Robbins event, and I spent $3,500 to go to a Tony Robbins 4-day event. And I took one of my employees. So I really spent $7,000 to take 2 people to California. Within the first 15 minutes, I looked at my employee and I said, I got everything I wanted. Like if I don't get anything else, we could leave right now. Because what I wanted to learn was, how does Tony Robbins get 10,000 people in a room and get them excited? And I learned that, MeiLani, in 15 minutes. I didn't have to stay for 4 days. Yeah. So you may look at it and go, oh, no, I'm staying every second of every hour of everything, and we're going to walk on fire. We're going to do all this. I could do that, but I didn't have to do it. I felt like I got my money's worth out of Tony Robbins in 15 minutes. Why? Because I made up my mind before I went what I wanted to get. Okay. If you're going to spend it 2 hours with a person that's worth $10 billion, you need to go into it knowing what you want to get from that person. You need to have your questions prepared. You need to be ready. Like I have some students, man, I tell you what, if I said, man, I got 15 minutes, they'd have 15 questions prepared. That's how hungry they are to learn. And I have some people that waste 14 minutes goofing off. So you got to get serious. You got to leave your amateur desire behind, and you got to make a decision to freaking go pro. That's what you got to do.
I love that. Okay, so along with the GoPro, how I'm trying to remember the terminology used for it when we were in Cancun together, the pyramid. I feel like it was a pyramid. Tell us about, like, is it the follow-up pyramid? What's it called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, probably what you're talking about is I talked about Prey Drive while I was in Cancun. I talked about, these activators of Prey Drive. I talked about this structure that I coach people through. Okay. And what I've done is I've created a structure that allows me to find your missing structure. Okay. And it could be, is your Prey Drive been activated? Do you have an explanation of services? Do you have a selling system? Do you have a follow-up? Do you have an extraction of referrals? And ultimately, do you have a person of interest? So what you saw was a person of interest paradigm that says these are the ingredients of people of interest. These are the ingredients of big-time people. And ultimately, in the sales cycle, like what you really want to become is you want to become so valuable that other people are chasing you. Like you want to be the number one person in the world. Now, I'll use Tony Robbins again. Paul Tudor Jones paid Tony Robbins $1 million a year for 20 or 30 years to be his coach. And they asked Paul Tudor Jones, what do you get for the $1 million? And he said, I just want to know that Tony will answer the phone when I call him. And he said, I only talk to him a couple of times a year. But just that commitment, he was convinced that he made millions and millions and millions of dollars because Tony Robbins was his coach and he paid him $1 million a year to talk to him a few times. Now, what's the point of that? The point of that is when you become a person of interest, you're not chasing people. People are chasing you. And you have such a strong skill set that skill set is in demand. And you don't have to convince people how great you are. They can see how great you are, right? Like they want to be associated with you. You're a person of increase. You're a person of advancement. And people can sense that.
So how do you become that how do you let the world know that you are that person of interest?
Now, this comes down to a long obedience in the same direction. And what I mean by that is developing a primary skill. I've got a new book out called Single Digit Millionaire, and it's how I went from a high school basketball coach to being worth, between $1 and $10 million, probably $5 or $6 million. And I can't write double digit millionaire because I'm not double digit millionaire yet, right? I can only tell you how to go from making $60,000 a year to being worth $5 or $6 million. But the point is, how many people will never be worth $5 or $6 million? And what I talk about a lot in that book, to your question, is until you find a primary skill. Primary skill is the number one skill you have that solves a problem for other people. Other people will pay you for that. There is a demand for this skill. You never become a person of interest until you have a primary skill. Think heart surgeon versus general practitioner. Think Navy SEAL versus just a person in the military. Think all-star versus just a player. You have a skill set that other people want. This is how you become a person of interest. Now, once you know your skill set, it is then your responsibility to distribute that skill set to the world. Like right now, I'm distributing my skill set through your podcast, through YouTube, through Instagram, through Facebook, through direct marketing, through Facebook ads, through speaking at events, through podcasts, through like it's up to me to tell the world, like, this is what I've got. And I've worked 28 years to have it. And it can help you make millions of dollars. Like, that's my job. So most people have a skill, but they're the best kept secret in the world. I coached 2 guys in Houston, Texas, who manage $6 billion.
Wow.
And they're the best kept secret in the world. And the reason they hired me was for the person of interest strategy. They said, we have something so good that nobody knows. Do you know how many people have told them, I wish I met you 10 years ago or 20 years ago? And I said, every time a person tells you that, that should be like a dagger opening your eyes to why you got to tell the world what you have to offer. You're not bragging, by the way. It's your marketing. That's what marketing is, right? Like P.T. Barnum was one of the greatest marketers in the world. He knew how to get people to the circus.
Yeah.
When you study attention, like study the 48 Laws of Power or any of those books, listen, the number one thing you have to get for your business is attention. But this is the number one thing nobody wants. Like, I mean, I've met you. You're both introverted and extroverted at the same time, right? Like you're shy and outgoing. So, you know, it's like, well, I would tell you if I was coaching you, look, you're good. Now we just got to get you out to more people.
Yeah.
That's what marketing is. Like, you know, let's take you to 1 million people. You know, I was on a show this weekend, MeiLani, that had 15,000 views. It was a conference that they say is going to have 100,000 to 200,000 views over the next few weeks. There was about 2,000 people watching when I was on Saturday, and I only got 15 minutes. And I can't tell you how many people, when I get on these things, go, man, I didn't even know who you were. I never heard of you, Coach Burt. Like, you're so good, but I never heard of you. Well, every time I hear that, it just frustrates me because I know I've worked my whole life to be good. And I want more people. I want to help more people. And to help more people, I got to become more known. I got to become a better marketer.
I love that, because no matter how great you are, your product, your service, whatever, if nobody knows about it, it's not doing the world. You're not changing the world, and you're not having a purpose. Okay. So what about the people that are great and they do have a product or service or whatever, but it makes them almost nauseous to think about putting themselves out there? What would your advice be to them?
Get over it. That's what my advice would be. Get
Good. Deep
listen,
thoughts by Burt.
Here's the point. Here's the point. I get it, man. I was raised by a single mom, and she didn't want me to get attention, right? Like, she taught me, stay under the radar, be seen but don't be heard. Like, that was the thing. Like, don't get attention. And that's good advice, I guess, as when you're growing up. You don't, but when you own a business, you got to get more attention for the business. And you got to be creative. It's such a noisy world that you got, like, nobody's better at this than Trump. Trump knows how to get attention. He knows how to keep attention. He knows how to keep you off guard. He does things I wouldn't do. He knows he attacks people. That gets him more attention. He's straightforward with people. He's controversial. Like, it's almost as if he read the 48 Laws of Power, and he works it exactly the way the book tells you to do it, right?
Yeah. But even the parts of the book that make you cringe a little bit, but we won't go
Yes,
there.
And a lot of it makes me cringe. Yeah, a lot of that book makes me cringe, but there are parts in there that talks about P.T. Barnum being a great promoter. And, you know, a lot of us study, a lot of us have seen Cardone, and Cardone was once his primary skill was sales. Now it's promotion.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can get people to events, you and I have spoken at events. It doesn't matter if you can't get people to the event. It doesn't matter if you can't sell tickets. It doesn't matter if you can't keep attention. So I would tell the person that's nervous to get attention that you're going to have to get over. And with the attention is going to come criticism. And that's the part that people really don't like. Here's my thought. Every time you have a hurt feeling, convert your hurt feeling very quickly to an action. Okay? When you get hurt feelings, instead of whining, pouting, feeling sorry for yourself, convert that hurt feeling to an immediate action. That's my best advice for you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I wish I would have understood that better when I first started out. I remember the first Facebook ad I ran, I was pouring money into Facebook ads, and the first one I got, I read the comments, which, I was like, I have to read the comments because I have to respond if somebody really wants. And they were so mean. And they were telling me that I was using my children as part of, I was exploiting my children for my own gain. And I was like, oh, you don't even know me. And it hurt, like you said. And I wish I wouldn't have spent as long on the mat and would have just, like you said, turn it into an action. That is really deep advice. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have a bunch of books. One of them called Zebras and Cheetahs. Is that true?
Yeah. My first major published book that was published by MeiLani was a book called Zebras and Cheetahs. I co-authored with a PhD, and it was a great book. It was a book about how you look different and run faster in the world. And,
okay, tell me more about that, because I haven't heard you talk much on that, but I've like seen it on your website and stuff. What is Zebras and Cheetahs? A little bit more.
And the reason I don't talk as much about it now is because I wrote it several years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But when I wrote it, it was a big deal. I mean, it was, and people still talk about it to this day. Like, I go places, I had this zebra print jacket, this ugly zebra print jacket that I wore to get attention, and it did get attention. And, but the book's premise is, how do you look different in a world of sameness? How do you stand out like a zebra? And a cheetah runs faster than any other animal in the animal kingdom. How do you look different, and how do you run faster? And at that time, I was coaching companies, a lot of companies, and we were using a methodology that was showing typically a 40 to 50% increase in a 1-year cycle. And so what we did is we took that and put that methodology in there. We call that the Zebras and Cheetahs model. And so there's a part about looking different. Here's how you look different. Then there's a part about running faster. And the running faster part was about how you use this model to show growth, because most people do not have a structure to grow their business. They don't have a selling system. They don't have a follow-up. They don't have extraction of referrals. They don't have a person of interest strategy. They're really just a lot of confusion. And because there's a lot of confusion, there's not very much systematic growth. It's not predictable. It's very erratic. And because of that, we get calls every day from people saying, man, I don't have a methodology. I don't have a structure to get customers. I don't know how to explain our services. I don't know how to follow up appropriately. And what I'm really providing there is a model in how you can do that. And we talked a lot about that in the book Zebras and Cheetahs. And it was the first major publishing deal I had ever signed. So I had, it was in all the bookstores and all the airports. And the funny thing was, I used to go to the airport when I was flying out, and my book was right up there beside John Maxwell and Tony Robbins and all the great leaders, Lencioni. And I would sit there and watch people walk around and to see if they would look at the book. Well, Zebras and Cheetahs, they didn't understand it. Yeah. And I would go over to them sometimes and say, hey, what about that book right there? That looks pretty good.
you didn't
and then they pick it up.
Yeah.
They pick it up and they go, who is this guy? Who's that guy, Micheal Burt? Like, I've never heard of him before. And here's what I learned from that. You have to have a title. Zebras and Cheetahs is sexy, but it's hard to understand. I could have said, look different and run faster. Yeah. That should have been the title of that book, because I made people work too hard to understand it. They didn't understand what it meant. That was a big lesson for me.
That's a good lesson. All right, I want to hear a little bit about this project, the 18 Summers project that you have going on. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's the thought behind that.
One of the things I like to do every year is partner with big time people who I want to learn something from. That's really the benefit of getting to a certain level in life where you're doing events with people. And I always choose people that I personally want to learn something from. And I've been a self-proclaimed workaholic most of my life. I've not had a lot of balance. I'm driven. I'm a high D. I'm a very driven, dominant person. So I wake up and I would work 20 hours a day. And now I have a daughter. I'm about to have a son. And I came across this guy named Jim Shills. And Jim Shills has a book called The Family Board Meeting. And he says you only get 18 summers with your kids. And he coaches personality types like mine in how to scale your business without leaving your family behind. Ooh. And I said, as soon as I heard that concept, he'd worked with some of my friends, and I said, I need that. I need that. So I'm going to bring that to my lodge, and we're going to spend a day with Jim Shields teaching hard driving business people like me how to go pursue it, but not leave our family behind. Scale the business, but not leave the family behind. And then we're going to follow that back up later in the year with the parent-child event, where it's just you and your kid, you and one kid. So that's what 18 Summers is about. You only get 18 summers with your kids. Every summer matters. How do you keep it in perspective while you're trying to go change the world? That's what 18 Summers is about.
I love that. I love that, because when I first saw that, I was like, I think both of those are great. I think that 18 Summers concept just obviously really hits home. But then I know you're a cheetah. You're out there, you're running fast. Like, I don't know if I know many people that run faster than Burt. He's a monster, and he's a monster producer, and he does great things, but he is a go-getter. And so I love that you saw that was something. Again, everyone needs a coach, even Burt, to realize, I need that. I need to know how to capitalize on these 18 summers that I have with my babies before they go and, turn into pumpkins or whatever they do.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing along those lines that I've enjoyed. My schedule has been different. I used to get up every day, go work out really early, not get to see my daughter much in the mornings, come home late at night, even on all the vitamins that I'm on, even on all the health plans I'm on. You still get tired, man.
Yeah.
You still run it. There's only so much energy a person has in a day. And with the new cycle where we couldn't work and we couldn't go to the office and we couldn't do these things, it's really allowed me to step back and evaluate my day. So this morning I swam. We have a heated pool. I swim with my daughter. We swim in the morning. We swim at night. It's really allowed me to spend a lot more quality time with my daughter, and to readjust my schedule to more of an ideal schedule that I'm looking for than what I had before. And I think it's so easy to say, you got to work out at this time, you got to do this. And, I'm changing that now. I'm going, if I want to swim in the morning with my daughter, I'm going to. If I want to get my hard workout in later in the afternoon, that's when I'm going to do it. Like, what's the use of owning the business if you can't do what you want to do every now and then?
Burt, it's so good to hear you say that, because I love you, I admire you, but I'm with you. Like, one of my big passions is living an intentional life. And even though you're working your butt off, you're worth $5-6 million, are you really living the life you want to? And I love that, you've taken this opportunity to reevaluate and be like, all right, let's switch a little bit. I had one of my other mentors on recently, and it kind of, I'll be honest, if anybody remembers this episode that's listening or watching, it got a little tense on the conversation, because I was talking about how with coronavirus, I've enjoyed to see my kids a little bit more. And she called me out, and she was like, if you're seeing your kids more, then you're letting your business fail and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, yes. I'm glad we all have our opinions, but I love this man. If you're listening, if you're watching, Coach Burt, he's a producer. He's a monster in the good way of he's a cheetah. He's getting things done, but I love him talking about also the importance of what's most important to him, which is his family. So thank you. Burt, what final advice do you have people out there that are dreaming about doing something, or maybe they just started chasing their dreams? What advice do you have for them to turn into a doer, to turn into a cheetah or a monster, whatever we call it?
Yeah, I've really been thinking about that, because I want to tie this into the why not me concept. When I've been on big stages in the world, like 10X and the conference I was on, the Rise Up Challenge, with this past weekend, that every major person in America has been on.
Yes.
Names much bigger than me. There were much bigger people out 10X than me. There's much bigger people on the Rise Up Challenge than me in name, brand, and recognition. But here's what I would tell every person listening. When you get on those stages and you get in front of those people, those other people that have bigger brands than you are not better than you. Just because they're more well known than you doesn't mean that they're better than you. And I think that's a myth, is we look at the person and we say they could be successful, but not me. They could have the life, but not me. They could do that, but not me. And I would tell you from being on some of those stages, I want to demystify this. When you get in the door and you get in on those stages, you figure out they're not any better than you. Maybe they got a better connection than you. Maybe they got a better marketing than you. Maybe they got more confident, better than you. And if you can ever get this concept of saying why me, or why me is a consideration. It's like, oh, it's like I don't have what they have. I'm not as good looking as they are. I don't have the money they have. I don't have the backers. I don't have the investors. I don't have the intelligence. And you're constantly kind of telling yourself that you're not there. And that's a consideration, which is an internal thought that prohibits an external action. I can tell you from being on those stages, why not you? Okay. And if I can get on those stages and do it, you can get on. I was thinking about this. I had this 15 minutes the other day, and I had a lot to say in 15 minutes, but my strategy was to be so good that they couldn't ignore me. I wanted them. I love being the underdog. I love going, you know what? I know Maxwell and I know Cardone and I know Damon John, but I don't know this little bald headed dude. But damn, he's good. He's good. That's what I want them walking. I want them going, I need to know who he is. Like I love going to a concert and the opening act just shocking me. And I'm like, dang, they're good. Like I've gone to some concerts that the opening act was 10 times better than the main act. Yeah. And so my point to you is you gotta remove these considerations in your life that you're not good enough, that it'll never be you, that success is somehow reserved for other people, but it ain't reserved for you. It is reserved for you. And once you make up your mind to go pro and leave your amateur desires behind, you will have success. You will meet success, and you will have the kind of success that you dream about, and you'll be on those stages, and you'll be doing those things that other people want to do, and they'll be looking at you going, how do I do what MeiLani does? How do I get to that level? That would be my advice on the Why Not Me Academy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. In fact, everybody needs to know that this is the man that got me to convince my husband to leave corporate America after 10 years of talking about it. 10 years we had talked about it. And I went to one of his events, one of Coach Burt's events, and 6 weeks later, my husband turned in his notice and left corporate America and haven't looked back. So grateful. We're rocking, we're rolling. But it was because of this man, and I could very easily get emotional, but I'm holding it together because he changed our lives because he is an amazing coach. Amazing, amazing. In fact, I was taking notes while he was talking, even trying to think of questions because I just want to take every second I have with him. But definitely, how did people reach out to you and find you, Coach Burt?
Great question. They can go to coachburt.com. We got a brand new website we're about to release in the next few days. It's going to be incredible. They can follow me on Instagram. I put out a lot of content on Instagram at Micheal Burt, Micheal. And I would tell you the other place is YouTube. We pump out thousands of videos. Our YouTube subscribers have grown by almost 2,000 during this Corona time. So I'm pumping out more content than I ever have. My Facebook fan page, we're pumping out content every day. I'm doing webinars with people, podcasts with people, live events, virtual conferences, like anything we can to help people push. I believe if you help enough people, it all works out. Yeah. I believe it all works out. So you can find me on any of those places. Just search Coach Micheal Burt, B-U-R-T. I'd love to help you. And thank you for saying that about your husband. That made my whole day.
Oh, thanks, Burt. I love what he said. Just to wrap up, he said, just because they might be better known than you does not mean they are better. And I hope we'll all remember that. And if you're looking for a great coach, reach out to Coach Burt. He's amazing. Thanks so much for being on, Coach Burt.
Thank you for having me. Love you. You are one of my favorite people in the world.
Mwah.